Welcome back to Solving Radical Equations. Buckle up for this one because it's going to take a while. All right, looking at this one, biggest thing we need to worry about is we've got square roots on both sides. And normally what we would want to do is isolate the square root before we try to get rid of it, but there's no way of doing that here because there's two of them. So we're just going to have to deal with one, then deal with the other. So let's deal with this x plus 7 first because it's all by itself. So I'm going to go through, square both sides, being sure that I squared this entire quantity here and not just the square root of 2 minus x. Okay, no cheating out. Can't do that. So square root and square cancel. I'm just left with x plus 7 equals this. Well, that's the same thing as 3 plus square root of 2 minus x times 3 plus the square root of 2 minus x. And we have to go through and FOIL this whole thing. So 3 times 3 is 9. And then square root of 2 minus x is 3. Square root of 2 minus x, but then it happens again because we've got 3 times that again. So we're going to end up with 6 square root of 2 minus x. And then lastly, we got the square root times the square root, which means the square root cancels. And we're just left with plus 2 minus x. Okay, now that we got that FOILed, we still have a square root in our problem. I need to get rid of this one now. Only way to get rid of this square root, isolate it, then square it. Okay, I don't want to square it before it's isolated because then I got to go through and like distribute again, and I'm not doing that. So, isolate it. I'm going to move this 9 and this 2 at the same time, so I'm going to subtract 11. And then let's add x to both sides, adding x to both sides. And we end up with 2x, oh my god, Kelly, minus 4 equals 6 square root of 2 minus x. All right. Keep going, get it alone. Divide both sides by 6. I'm going to simplify this fraction right here a little bit. I'm going to take out a 2 and then divide it out with the denominator. So we're going to be left with x minus 2 over 3. Just simplifying that fraction equals the square root of 2 minus x. We did it. It's all by itself. Now we got to square both sides. We square both sides. I'm not just squaring the numerator. We also have to square the denominator as well. Okay, so I have to do this quantity, x minus 2 squared. I see people try to distribute that square. We cannot do that. We have to go through and FOIL. So if you want to over to the side, do your x minus 2 times x minus 2, right? Because that's, geez. My goodness. Oh, here we go. Okay, sorry. X squared minus 4x plus 4 all over 3 times 3, which is 9, equals, square root goes away, 2 minus x. We are so close. What I would do is get rid of the fraction. That 9's kind of gross, so I'm going to multiply that over to the other side. Left with x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals, multiplying this entire thing by 9, we got 18 minus 9x. All right, we got a quadratic. I need to solve for x. Best way to do that, set it equal to 0, got a factor, got to solve. So let's get 0 here on the right. So I'm going to add that 9x, it's a different color. Add that 9x, subtract 18, and we're left with 10x squared. No, we're not left with 10x squared. X squared, negative 4 plus 9 is plus 5x, and then negative 4, that's going to be negative 14, equals 0. Woo! All right, we got to factor this, we got to solve. So looking at x squared plus 5x minus 14, we think about what multiplies to get us negative 14 and adds to get us 5. That's going to be 7 and negative 2. We got it factored. Now we can split it up, right? X minus 7 equals 0, or plus 7. X minus 2 equals 0. And we got it. X equals negative 7, and X equals 2. Whew! Except what's really fun about these is that we're not actually done. Because, I hate these. Okay, because when we squared both sides, and especially because we did it twice, we introduced some issues, right? There's a potential for getting a negative under the square root. If that happens and we don't catch it, bad things happen. So what we have to do is we have to check for what's called extraneous solutions. So check for extraneous solutions. Don't know if I spelled that right. Close enough. Extraneous is just a fancy word for like trick. It's like a trick solution. It looks like it's right, but it's not. It's going to give us an imaginary number. So we have to take our negative 7. We're going to plug that in. We're going to see what happens. So I plug in negative 7. We got negative 7 plus 7 equals 3 plus, right, we're plugging in back into the original, minus negative 7. All you need to know is if it exists or if you're taking the square root of a negative. So in this case, and you also want to check to make sure that they match up on both sides. So this one here, we got negative 7 plus 7. Well, that's 0, right? Square root of 0 is just 0. Over here, we have 3 plus the square root of 9. Square root of 9 is 3. 0 equals 3 plus 3, which is 6. Extraneous solution, negative 7. Right? And that's because they don't actually match up. It didn't actually work as a solution. I would go through, always check both of them just in case. So let's go through and check 2 real quick. So we do 2 plus 7 equals plus square root of 2 minus 2. This one looks like it's already going to work better. We got square root of 9 equals 3 plus 2 minus 2 is 0. Square root of 0 is just 0. And we end up with 3 minus 3. 3 equals 3. Check. That means our only solution is x minus 2. And now we're done.